A little over a year ago, I weighed 284 pounds. I was the fluffy fitness instructor. I had chronic knee pain, back pain, exhaustion, and I felt like I was in this constant cycle of restriction, food guilt, and weight gain. Then I made some small changes that led to me losing 108 pounds over the last 14 months. My joint pain disappeared, and I've been working really hard to fix my relationship with food, exercise, and total wellness. Regardless of what size I've been, I've always been really confident and proud of who I am. I work hard. I always give 100%. I'm a great wife, I'm a great mother, but I definitely wasn't living my life to its fullest potential because of the chronic disease of obesity and the side effects that I had from that disease. I was preoccupied with food noise. I was struggling with these symptoms that I was unable to manage without medical intervention. However, there are some things that I do miss from my life when I was living in a larger body. Welcome back to Amanda Widener Wellness. My name's Amanda. I'm so excited to have you here. On this channel, we talk about all things weight loss, weight management, tools like GLP-1s, fitness, nutrition, and everything in between. Today, we're going to talk about what I miss about being obese now that I've lost 108 pounds and toned up a little bit, and also some of the things that I don't miss about being in an obese body. But before I do, I have a disclaimer. I am not a doctor or a healthcare provider, and while I am a personal trainer and group fitness instructor, I'm not your personal trainer or group fitness instructor, so please speak with your doctor and wellness team before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or medication regimen. Everything on this channel is based on my experiences and opinions. Today, I want to dive into a few things that I actually miss about my life in a larger body. The idea for this video actually came from a video I was watching by Brittany Rose GLP-1. She was doing like her weekly update, and then she said some of the things that she missed about being in a larger body. And so that kind of inspired me. She said she got the inspiration from a TikTok by Shelby on the thinner side. I'm not on TikTok, so I'm not familiar with that account. But if you are, you can go check out her video and Brittany Rose GLP-1s to see what they said they miss about being in a larger body. But I could really relate to this concept because there are a few things that I miss about my larger body before losing 108 pounds. Don't get me wrong. I'm so proud of myself, and I wouldn't go back to being 284 pounds just because of these few things that I miss. But I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about because most people just want to talk about all of the great things that come out of losing weight, and they kind of forget about what life was like before. And I think it's really worth revisiting that because if you're still like in the throes of weight loss, you get to enjoy these for just a little bit longer. So let's talk about what I personally miss. This is my list. My list might be different than your list, and that's okay. But here's my top 13 items that I miss about being in a larger body. So number one, people were really impressed by my fitness level when I was in an obese body. They kind of prejudged me. So when I was 284 pounds, I was still a fitness instructor. I was still a trainer. I was very good at what I did. I actually reached that status in an obese body. Most of my fitness career has been in an obese body. I never let it hold me back. I never let it reduce my energy levels. I never let it impact the way that I train and coach others. I'm very good at what I do, and it doesn't matter what size I am, and I'm very proud of that. However, being in a plus size body and walking into a scenario where other people don't know you or your background leads to prejudgment. And that's just the way the world is, unfortunately. And so especially if I was subbing a class, or if I was going to a training where nobody knew who I was, where I was like training other people to become instructors, I would walk in a larger body and people would immediately be like, oh, we're not gonna get a very good workout. And that wasn't fair. But it was also really easy to impress them. I'd put the first song on and start the warm up, and I'd build their heart rate up, and we'd be going, and we get into the second song, we'd really be going, and they'd be like, wow, she's really good at getting us a workout. Now, if I walk into a room in a smaller body that's a little bit more toned, people already have the expectation that I'm going to give them a great workout. So I have to work just a little bit harder to impress them than I used to. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to impress them because I am really good at what I do. I'm going to toot my own horn on that. I'm proud of how, my education and my experience and the research and the work that I put into my career. But it was a little bit easier to impress them when I was in that larger body. And I kind of missed that. It was nice to come out and see it as like an opportunity to prove people wrong. Whereas now I don't have to work to prove people wrong. They kind of just have the expectation that, oh, she looks fit. She knows what she's talking about. It's just a little different. Number two, I miss being less seen. So I was never really felt invisible. I am an introvert. I like to be at home by myself. My favorite place to be is in a room alone with nothing else going on. But when I am in a social environment, I can make myself act extroverted. So I call myself an extroverted introvert, right? I'm truly an introvert at heart. I do need to come home and be like alone in silence to recharge after any type of social interaction, including teaching a class. But when I am in a social environment, I can make myself be extroverted. So I can be the life of the party and I can be engaged in conversations, and I'm okay with small talk. It just wipes me out. Before, if I was in a situation energetically where I did not feel like I was able to engage in those conversations, I could kind of stay on the sidelines. But now I've noticed that I'm in a smaller body, that people are less likely to let me be on the sidelines, and they tend more to pull me into the conversation. And while it's really nice to feel more included, that's something that everybody wants to feel. And I have had big sections of my life where I did not feel included because I was in a larger body. It's not energetic wise somewhere that I always want to be, and I miss having that option. So I do miss being just a little bit less seen than I am now. Number 3, I miss my wardrobe being simpler. So when I was in a larger body, it was much more difficult to find clothing. And so I would oftentimes just buy the same thing in different colors. And that led to my wardrobe being very, very simple. It was a lot of solid color t-shirts, a lot of the same cut of jeans in different colors, or even sometimes like multiple of the same pair. And then a lot of the same leggings. I love, to this day, still, even in the current size, there's a leggings company I love called Constantly Varied Gear. And I love them because I knew what size I wore, and their whole brand is, they have the same material and cut of legging, and they just change the pattern on it. And so I knew that if I got something in this one specific size, it was always going to fit me. And so I had a closet full of Constantly Varied Gear, or CVG leggings. I still buy their leggings, but now I buy other leggings too. So it's a little bit more complicated now. Before, I kept it very simple. And I kind of missed that. It was nice to just walk in my closet and be able to grab whatever I want, and that was just what I had. Now I feel like I care a little bit more about what I wear. I have a lot more options when I go into stores. I can go into almost any store because I wear a size 6, medium top. And so almost any store I go into is going to have something I can wear now, which means the world is my oyster when it comes to fashion, which is a great thing to have, but it is a little bit more intimidating as somebody who has never had that kind of freedom before. I'm just now at 40 gonna try to figure out what my style is. I don't know what it is because I've never had this like full option available to me. It was, what can I get that fits my body type and is also available in my size? And now it's, what do I want? And that's very different. And so it was kind of nice to have a much simpler wardrobe. Also, like if I went to an event or anything like that, it was always okay if I was a little bit more dressed down, I feel. And now that I'm in a smaller body, I feel like the expectation is that I'm going to be a little bit more dressed up or in something a little bit nicer. And I don't know, that's just a societal thing, I think, but that's kind of how it feels. And maybe that's just how I'm feeling in this situation. But I do care a little bit more about what I'm wearing because I kind of want to show off my hard work. But also I feel like the expectation is there that I'm going to show it off a little bit as well, I guess. And I miss it being a little bit simpler. It was easier back then when I just walked to my closet and grabbed something and I could walk out the door. Number 4, y'all, I miss my booty. I miss my booty. I used to have a very curvy booty. It was popping, and now it is pancaking. And I mean, it's not super flat, but it is much smaller than it used to be. And I have to work very hard to try to maintain that glute muscle. I do all the squats. I do a ton of RDLs. I do a lot of hip thrusts. I do a lot of glute extensions, trying to maintain that muscle mass in my glutes as I lose weight. I have always had a bit of an hourglass shape. I've always been a little bit rounder in my glutes and thighs, and losing a significant amount of weight, a lot of that has gone away. And we don't necessarily get to pick and choose where we lose the weight first or where we lose weight when. And a lot of that lately has been coming from my glute area. And so I'm working really hard to rebuild it. And I miss when I didn't have to. It was nice to just be the girl with the big old booty. So I do miss it. I won't lie. Number 5, I miss the way my armpits used to be. And so this is an interesting one. I remember, I don't remember how long ago this was, a few months ago. Small Things Daily actually mentioned this in one of her videos as well. And I was like, yes, girl, I can relate to this. So no one told me this, and I don't remember from when I was in my 20s, the last time I was this size or smaller, having an actual pit in your armpit. When you're overweight and you're like significantly obese, you're like the fat kind of pushes forward. So instead of having a concave armpit, it kind of goes flat when you lift your arm up. It makes shaving very easy. So I've never had to worry about it. But now that I've lost weight, that's gone, and I actually have a pit in my armpit. And so I have to do this like weird contortion with my arm in order to get everything to push forward enough to get a really good shave in there. And it's a lot of work, and I miss the simplicity of how it was before. Do I miss it enough to be 284 pounds again? No, I do not. But I do miss the luxury of not having to manipulate my arm in certain ways just to try to shave my armpits so I can go teach a class without waving around my hairy armpits to everybody. Number 6, I missed my knees not knocking together. So I'm a side sleeper, and I've been obese most of my life. So I'm very, like I said, very bottom heavy. So like my legs were like stumps. They were nice and thick. So if I laid on my side, I had lots of cushioning between my knees. And so everything my back would be nice and straight. My knees were nice and cushioned. Everything was comfy, and I could sleep great on my side. Now I have lost a lot of that cushion, and when I lay on my side, my knees, like the bones on my knees, actually like push together, and it hurts. And I didn't know that was a thing until it started happening to me. The same thing happens when I'm teaching classes and we're doing like side laying exercises. I forget that I'm gonna have pain on my hip and on my knees when I'm laying on my side, even though I'm on a mat, and it catches me off guard every single time. Or if I'm in the weight room and I'm using like the adductor and abductor machine, the one where your legs go in it and you kind of like open or close like the thigh master, but it's on a piece of equipment, right? When I use that, my knees hurt so bad. I have to like use an extra towel or extra t-shirt to create cushioning in there. Or sometimes I'll stick like a mat in there just to give myself some extra cushion, because it does hurt to push on those pads. Same with when I'm sleeping. Now I have to remember a pillow, or like I stuff a blanket there sometimes in between my thighs. I have this pillow that I got that like Velcros to your leg to keep like so that you can have a pillow not fall off while you're sleeping in between your legs. But I have found a way in my sleep to remove it somehow. So I found using a blanket is a little bit more of an option for me, but I miss not having to manipulate pillows and blankets and towels and things just to do these daily activities. Will I do them to have the body I'm in right now? Yes, I will, because I'm much healthier. But I do miss when I didn't have to worry about that. I miss not having loose skin. So people ask me all the time, do you have loose skin? You've lost 108 pounds. And the answer is yes. And unfortunately, no amount of cream or no amount of toning is going to get rid of that loose skin. It can help with some of it, but it won't completely get rid of it. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog barking. It's a snow day here and the kids are in and out of the house. So the dogs are excited. But loose skin. So I don't have a ton of loose skin. My belly has some, it's not terrible. I've got some on my upper thighs, it's not terrible. My arms are a little bit more on the bothersome side. Sometimes they get like a little rash, and I am tracking all of that. It gets in the way when I'm teaching. A lot of the times, or like I'll get caught in my sports bras and stuff because I can't work out, like I can't dance with sleeves on. It really bothers me. So I'm in tank tops all the time. But I'm really self-conscious about the loose skin on my arms, especially when we're working so hard to tone them. But that's just me. But again, no amount of exercising or lotion or drinking water is going to completely get rid of loose skin when you lose that much weight. Because when you lose weight, if you think about like an elastic band, gaining weight is like stretching that elastic band. And when you lose the weight, right, if you stretched it to its max capacity, and then you lose some weight, it's going to release that tension in the elastic band. It will go back to the size it was mostly, but it's still going to be a little stretched out. And that's what happens to your skin. And so the only way to fix that with loose skin is through surgery. Now, I'm at a point in my journey where I'm starting to look into surgery to see if it's something I want to consider. There's a lot going on there. One, I'm terrified of surgery. Two, I would probably have to come out of pocket for mine, and that's a lot of money. And we have kids who are going into the driving years and the college years, and I don't know if I want to spend thousands of dollars on that. And then of course there's risks that always come with surgery as well. So, and there's also like having to find the right surgeon, because you want to have a surgeon who specializes in obesity, loose skin removal, not just like nips and tucks, right? So there's a lot to consider there. It's not something I'd be rushing into anytime soon, but I do miss not having loose skin, but I will take the loose skin and the healthier body over being an obese body that was getting sick. Number 8, I miss naps. So I used to take a nap every day, not necessarily because I wanted to, it was because I had to. I could not get through a day without a nap. I slept at night, but it wasn't the best of sleep. I probably had sleep apnea. And then I would get to like 3 p.m. and I just could not keep my eyes open. I was exhausted. And if I didn't have time to nap, I would be crabby and sometimes mean and harsh and sharp. And I didn't like the person that I was when I was tired like that. So I would try to nap when I could. I napped almost every single day, 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the time I had. It's a lot of time in the middle of my day that I was taking away from being with my family. From doing stuff around the house, from being productive with my job. But I had to do it because I could not function otherwise. And that's because I was sick and I was carrying around so much extra weight that my body was tired physically, mentally, emotionally. Now I have so much energy and I sleep really well at night and I don't need naps. In fact, when I try to lay down for a nap now, I almost never can fall asleep. Or it will take me a really long time to fall asleep and I'll get like a 20-minute nap and then I'll wake up and I'm like, ready to go. So it's different, but I miss the like afternoon, like me time, shut down, quiet time, passing the time. So like we've been in the snow days here for the last few days. It almost never snows here, and this is the second year in a row where we've gotten snow. So like the nice thing about it is it forces you to just like slow down, right? We can't go anywhere. There's nothing to do. So we did some baking and I've been hanging out with the kids. We watched the movies. We've gone outside. And I would have loved to have taken a nap. Yesterday, I tried to lay down for one. I laid down for over an hour and I just laid there in silence. And what was nice for my mental health to kind of just like turn things off for an hour, I didn't actually sleep. And that's kind of how napping goes now. And I miss it. I won't lie. I do miss a good nap. But I would still rather be where I am today than being able to nap because I had to. Number 9, I miss with being okay eating whatever, whenever. So once upon a time, before I lost this weight, if someone said, do you want to eat this? I would have said yes, as long as it was gluten-free. If someone said, are you hungry? The answer was always yes, right? I could always eat. Now, not just because of the GLP-1 medication, but just because of the lifestyle changes I've made and, the way that I eat, the foods I eat, they keep me fuller longer. I can't just eat whatever, whenever, because I might not be hungry or I'd just be wasting money on food, or a lot of times someone will suggest something to eat and it just doesn't appeal to me. And so I do miss the ease of being like, yeah, I'm hungry. I could eat now. What do you want to eat? I'll eat whatever you want. I have a little bit more of an opinion on it now, even though I don't necessarily want to have that opinion. I do. So I miss the ease of that. Number 10, I miss certain foods. And I say that because there are now certain foods that do not appeal to me at all. They turn me off completely, that I used to love. So at Christmas time, for example, my family, like my kids and I, we like to watch Christmas movies and we'll make hot chocolate, or like we'll go look at Christmas lights in the car. We'll make a hot chocolate and popcorn and drive around like that. And we have done that every Christmas for as long as I can remember. And so this Christmas we went to do that again, and I went to drink my hot chocolate and it was disgusting. And I used to love hot chocolate. So I thought, well, maybe it was just that one hot chocolate, and I made another one and it was disgusting. And then I made another one and it was disgusting. And I realized, oh my gosh, I don't like hot chocolate anymore. Do I still like chocolate? Yes, I do. But I'm also pickier about the types of chocolate that I eat. And so I guess I don't like hot chocolate anymore, which is a big change. So I'll be sticking with decaf coffee when we go on these car rides because I still like coffee, but it's weird to not like something that I used to love and look forward to so much. Same thing with like soda. I used to drink diet soda like you would not believe. There was a point in my life where I was drinking like 2 liters in a day. About 14 months ago, I was drinking almost a 2 liter every single day. Now I will still drink it on occasion if I'm like really wanting one, like there's something to be said for like an icy, crispy Diet Coke. But I drink it so rarely now. It's not even something I keep in my house. I might have it if I'm out at a restaurant or at a movie, but we go out to eat so rarely. And we go out to the movies even less. And so I don't have soda very often. And like we bought a 2-liter at Christmas time because my parents were coming. And I think I had 1 glass of Diet Coke out of that 2-liter. And then the 2-liter went bad. So I miss Diet Coke. Like, it was nice to be able to have a crispy Diet Coke. Now I think about it and I'm like, that'd be nice. I'm gonna have a water, which is great. It's much better for my body to drink water, but you know, there's something to be said for that nostalgia of a Diet Coke. Same thing with like breads and pastas. I used to crave bread and pasta. And even though I'm gluten-free, I had found options that I really, really liked. I used to get like, you know, we'd make like muffins and cookies and pancakes. And I would make these pasta casseroles all the time, like for the family. And it was easy and delicious, probably very high in calorie. And now I don't really want any of that stuff. Even when we have like spaghetti nights, my husband loves spaghetti. He's always like, can we have spaghetti this week? And I'm like, I used to love spaghetti too, but now I don't really care for it. And if we're having it, a lot of the times I'll choose to make spaghetti squash instead of having noodles with it because I just don't really like pasta anymore. So it's been a bit of a transition. I miss being a little bit more adaptable and liking those foods because it was easier for my family. We all liked them. And now we have to work a little bit harder to find options that the whole family will enjoy that also make me happy. Because it was just easier before. So number 11, I miss alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want alcohol. So since starting the GLP-1 medication, my taste towards alcohol is just kind of evaporated. I haven't been a huge drinker in a very long time, but I did used to have like glasses of wine if we were playing cards, or if we went out to dinner, I'd have a drink, or I'd go out with my girlfriends and we'd have a couple margaritas or something like that. And now I don't even want that. I got a bottle at Christmas time to play cards when my parents were here for like Christmas dinner. And I think I had a glass and a half out of the bottle. And then I just dumped the rest because it was going to go bad. And it just really feels like a waste to spend that much money on alcohol because alcohol is expensive and then not even really enjoy it and not really drink it. So I do miss the social aspect. That's what I miss of drinking alcohol. I've gotten a little bit more creative. Now I try to find like a non-alcoholic cocktail to have when I'm out with friends so that I'm still enjoying something like a treat with them, but I'm just not gonna make myself drink something that doesn't appeal to me. It's not just about the calories. It's not just about how our body processes it and turns it more into fat than other nutrients. It's just, it has zero appeal to me anymore. And so I'd rather just not drink it at all. But I do miss the social aspect of drinking alcohol with friends and family. I miss not being cold all the time. So as you can see, I'm actually in layers right now. I've got a long sleeve, I've got my sweatshirt, I've got 2 pairs of socks on, and I'm sitting inside my heated house, and my hands are still freezing, which is why I keep doing this. I notice that I do it on a lot of my videos because my hands are always cold. That's new. I did not ever feel cold before. I used to always be hot all the time. And so I do miss not always being cold, but I will say it's much easier to layer up than it is to take layers off because eventually you run out of layers to remove. So while I miss not being cold all the time, I guess it's better than me being hot all the time. And lastly, I miss not being constantly reminded that I am obese. So I know that people mean so well when they come up to me and say things like, you look so great, or you should feel so proud of yourself, or wow, what a difference. But sometimes those can come across as, you think I didn't look good before, I wasn't beautiful before, I shouldn't have been proud of who I was before. And I was proud of who I was. And I think that I was beautiful before. And I have always been the same person. So while I understand people have the best of intentions with that conversation, I'm always reminded of it. And I know that eventually we will move to a place where me having been obese will not be something that is taking over the conversation or like filling up the space in the room. And we'll just move on to Amanda is the size she is and it won't matter anymore. But at this point in my journey, people have noticed and it's like the only thing anyone wants to talk about. And it's just a constant reminder, instead of me really getting to adjust to this is me, this is my new body. It's a constant reminder of almost like this is a borrowed body and I used to be in a larger one. And I know that's not the intention behind those comments and like those conversations, but sometimes it comes across that way. And I'm really looking forward to moving past that, because when I was obese, my size what I looked like was never a conversation. No one brought it up. No one mentioned it at all. But now, because I've lost weight, it's almost like it opened up. Everyone feels like that opened up the conversation, and they all have a right to an opinion on my body. I don't fault people for that. I know that that is definitely a societal norm. But I am looking forward to the day when we move away from that. All right. So those are the things that I miss about being in my larger obese body. But what are some things that I don't miss about being in my obese body? Number one, I don't miss having less energy. I have so much more energy now. And I know that's because I'm not carrying around so much weight. My body can process things better. I'm able to move better, which increases my cardio capacity. I said I don't need naps anymore because I sleep better. I don't miss having that lack of energy. Having a lack of energy on its own is exhausting. So I don't miss that one bit. I don't miss having the brain fog I used to have. So I have a bunch of autoimmune diseases, and brain fog is a pretty big side effect or like symptom of many of them. And I would really struggle at times with, I still do, but it's at a significantly less volume, where I would struggle to remember like certain words, even simple words. You would just get like hyper fixated on, I can't remember what this one word is called. And it could be something as simple as like jacket, right? Like you could not think of the word jacket or anything that would describe a jacket. Or I couldn't remember where I put something, or I would be in the middle of a sentence and I completely lose my train of thought and I wouldn't be able to bring myself back to it. That still happens if I'm super tired, which happens rarely because I sleep better now. Or if I'm like kind of under the weather or something like that, my brain fog comes back a little bit, but it's so much more manageable now, and it happens so less frequently that it's like my brain is completely different than it used to be. And I don't miss living in that fog at all. I don't miss my joint pain or inflammation. When I started losing weight, it went away slightly, but it was still there. When I started my GLP-1 medication, it was instantaneous. Like literally within that first day, I noticed a change in my knee pain. And within a week, I noticed that like inflammation was disappearing from my face and my hands. And I no longer have to go down the stairs one step at a time, sideways, like I'm somebody decades older than I am. I don't miss that. Waking up in pain, moving through my day in pain, ending a class in severe pain, having to ask my husband to massage my body because everything hurt. He doesn't have to do that anymore. I used to ask him every night, will you please roll my legs? Can you roll my feet? Can you roll my back? Can you rub my shoulders? I call them the squeezies. Can you give me the squeezies? I haven't asked him to do that in months because my body doesn't hurt anymore, and I don't miss that. I used to feel like I was living in this achy old body, and now I know that as a 40-year-old woman, I should be living in a body that feels like this one. I don't miss not being able to cross my legs. So when I was in a larger body, when I tried to cross my legs, so if this was one and I crossed the other, it would kind of stick out over like this because there was so much like fat and inflammation on my leg that I couldn't bring it down. And now I can cross my legs like this, and it's amazing. It's so comfortable. I always used to look at people who cross their legs all the time, even when they didn't have to. And I was like, why are you sitting like that? That's so uncomfortable. I get it now. It's not uncomfortable. In fact, it's more comfortable sometimes than sitting other ways. But I didn't know that in a larger body because the size and the mass of my legs made it uncomfortable. And it's really fun to feel like other women and, you know, just feel like I can sit there like that. Sometimes I feel really regal with my legs crossed. So I don't miss not being able to do that. I don't miss how my hair and my nails used to look. So 14 months ago, my hair was much thinner. Now I have very thin hair. I always have. So since I was like 8, when I was a really little kid, I had very thick hair and then it thinned out. But I have very thin hair. It used to be very matte looking and kind of oily up top and like flat on the bottom. And my nails were super brittle. Like I could not keep my nails grown out. They would peel and they would break and they would bleed, and it was very painful. And part of that was I wasn't eating well. And the other part was that my autoimmune conditions were not being controlled. So I wasn't absorbing nutrients the way that I needed to in the little bit of nutrients I was absorbing in my diet. And so getting everything more under control is allowing my body to absorb the nutrients, but I'm also giving it more nutrients than I used to because of changed the way that I eat. And so, my hair is much fuller, it's shinier, it doesn't look as greasy. I can actually like go a little bit longer in between like full washes if I'm not sweating in it. And my nails actually are growing out for the first time in forever. I can keep them, I need a manicure, but I can keep them like a nice length, and they're so strong. They haven't been strong like this in forever. And so I don't miss having the frail hair and the brittle nails. I love having beautiful hair and nice, strong, healthy nails because it makes maintaining them much less of a process. I used to have to spend so much time trying to make my hair and my nails look good. And now it's just file them down in a little bit of clear polish, and I can either curl or flat iron my hair and I'm good to go. And I love that. It's been great. I don't miss not being able to wear high heels. So I last wore high heels when my son was born. He was born when I was 30, so that was 10 years ago. And I used to wear heels to like every day in my 20s. And I'm not talking like little heels. I'm talking like 4-inch stilettos to the office with a pair of jeans. You know, like I wore heels every day. And then when I got pregnant and I started gaining weight, I couldn't wear them anymore because my body was too heavy. My knees ached. My ankles were not sturdy. And so I had been in flats or a wedge, like a short wedge, like a 2-inch wedge for the last decade. And this past October, I found a pair of heels I wanted to wear with a dress to an event I was going to. And I said, you know what? I'm going to order them and I'm going to see how they feel. And I wore those heels, and I not only wore them for the event, but I wore them for the entire event, dancing at the event, and I was helping to clean up the event afterwards. I wore those heels for hours, and I went the next day and my feet were fine. It was like I was back living, like wearing heels in my 20s, and I was 40. And I did not expect that at all. And it was the first time I've worn heels in 10 years. So knowing that I can wear heels again is amazing. I don't miss not being able to wear them just because of the size of my body. I don't miss not being able to share clothes. So all I ever wanted growing up was to be a girl who could share clothes with her mom. All of my girlfriends could share clothes with their moms. They could all share clothes with each other, and I couldn't. I had a couple of friends in college that I could share clothes with, but most of them were all smaller than me. Or I would lose a lot of weight and then I would be smaller than them, and I was never like the same size. And I really feel like I missed out on a lot of like bonding that way. In girl world, like we kind of bond through clothing and sharing and that sort of thing, and I couldn't do that. But now I'm able to, I could share clothes with my mom. She's petite, she's short, so I can't wear like her pants and stuff. But if we wanted to share a sweater or whatever, like she was here at Christmas time and she was cold, and I was like, well, go in my closet and grab something. I've never been able to do that with her before. And I can also share with my daughter. So my daughter's 13. She likes to wear her clothes a little bit larger. So even though she's like an extra small, she'll sometimes get stuff in a medium, and I wear a medium top, size 6 bottom. So like she could wear my leggings if she wanted to. She could wear my sweatpants. We can share sweatshirts. I could wear a dress if I wanted to. Like being able to share those things with her is just something I didn't expect from this journey, but it's been a wonderful experience because I've missed out on that with everyone else for the last 40 years. And I feel really blessed that we get to have that bond that a lot of other mothers and daughters have had that I missed out on with my own mom. I don't miss not fitting into auditorium seats. So last November, I went to a concert at my daughter's school, and I got into the auditorium seats, and they were so tight. I could barely fit in it. And then my husband's really broad, and so like he was kind of in my seat and I was big, so I was in his seat, and we were making body heat and making each other hot, and I felt really claustrophobic. And when I feel like I'm in a tight space, sometimes I start to panic, and it was just not a pleasant experience. And this past November, I went into the same auditorium and I sat in the same seats, and there was room on either side of me. And it was weird, but it was so much more comfortable. Not only could I sit in the seat, but I could even cross my legs with room between me and the seat in front of me, which is not something I could have done when I was in a larger body because my leg fat would have pushed my leg forward. And it was just a really interesting experience to feel comfort in those small seats the way that most average people do that I had never experienced before. So I don't miss that. I rather enjoyed fitting comfortably in that seat, being able to watch my daughter perform. I don't miss not having to do the grab and gentle sit into other chairs. And if you have been obese, you know what I'm talking about. Like you get in a camp chair, like a plastic chair, and you grab the handrails and you like the handles and you ease your way down so you don't snap the chair. I still catch myself doing this sometimes, including in this computer chair, I will grab the handles and gently ease my way down. Why am I doing that? I don't have to do that. Look at how I fit in this chair now. Once upon a time, I did not. But now I can fit in this chair just fine. I don't need to ease my way down. But I've been doing it for so long that I still do it subconsciously sometimes. So I don't miss having to do that at all. And I don't miss the like mental panic of, oh my gosh, I'm at this event. What if I sit in this chair and I break it in front of everybody? I've never broken a chair in my entire life, but I've had a couple of friends that were the same size as me who have. And watching them experience that was traumatic enough. I felt so bad for them because I could see on their faces how they felt. I'm lucky I never had to go through that. I feel so bad if that's happened to any of you because people don't react appropriately in those situations. It's mortifying and uncomfortable, and a lot of times people laugh, and it's not funny. And so I don't miss having to do that grab to try not to be one of the people who breaks the chair, because that was like a panic moment every time I was in a public situation, having to sit in a chair like that. I don't miss not fitting in a booth at a restaurant. Now, I've never gotten into a booth and not been able to fit. I have looked at a couple where I was like, that's going to be a very tight squeeze. I don't know if I'm going to fit. But just this past week, I went to lunch at a restaurant I used to go to regularly with a friend. I haven't been there in 7 or 8 months. And we sat in a booth, and I sat down and I looked at her and I was like, this is a big booth. And she's like, it's always been this size. And I was so used to it feeling tighter that I didn't recognize that my body changing gave me more room there. But I don't miss that panic of like going to a new restaurant and wondering, am I gonna have to sit in a booth and am I gonna fit in it? Because I did have that panic. I don't miss having to worry about going on certain rides or like pre-checking weight requirements for things I wanna do at theme parks and on cruise ships and that sort of thing. We like to take our kids to water parks and theme parks, Disney, Universal, Dollywood. We've been to Aquatica, which is like SeaWorld's water park. We've been to Blizzard Beach. We've taken them to the Great Wolf Lodge. And every time we've gone to those things, I have had to look up weight requirements and sometimes measurements for certain seats to see if I would fit into them. And then I would get to them and I would have to find the like checker seat, like, you know, the one where you can like go in and see if you fit, and if the light turns green, you can ride it, which are sometimes not always fully accurate either. I don't have to do that anymore. You know, at the size I am, I know that I'm going to fit. And I like that. I am glad that there are options out there for people to find that information ahead of time, because I don't think I would have ever taken my children to those things if I couldn't have found that information online ahead of time. Like just going and spending that kind of money and then hoping that I fit when I get there is not the way that I would have been comfortable with spending our money. But I am really excited that now I don't have to do that anymore. I don't miss that at all. I also don't miss not feeling judged in restaurants. So when you're in a larger body, people might not be looking at you, but when you're at a restaurant, you feel like people are looking at you when you're eating, right? They're thinking, you're worried about them judging you for what you order, the way that you prepare it when it comes to your, like, in front of you, and how much of it you're going to eat. And once upon a time, I would go out to a restaurant and I would ask for a to-go container, and then I would sit in my car or I'd bring it home and I'd finish it because I felt weird eating it at the restaurant, even though I wanted all of it. Now I take a to-go container because I physically can't finish that food at the restaurant, and I'll save it for a day, like for the next day for lunch or for dinner or something. But I used to do that because I felt judged for eating what was in front of me. Whereas my counterpart, a friend who is in a smaller body, could have ordered the same thing as me and finished their plate, and no one would have blinked twice at them. And I don't miss that feeling at all, because it's not fair and it's not right. And I should have been able to eat what I wanted at a restaurant while I was paying for it without feeling judged. And maybe I wasn't being judged, but I always felt like I was. And that could have been my own bias, because I definitely don't judge other people myself, but I personally felt like people were doing that to me. And I don't miss feeling that way. I don't miss not sweating all the time. I was so sweaty when I was in a larger body. I was hot all the time. It could have been winter and I was still hot. The second I started moving my body, I would be sweating. I live in the South, so like April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and most of November, 8 months of the year, are hot and humid. And I would just be drenched in sweat all the time. And I thought that was normal. like I would have to turn the car on ahead of time with air conditioning blasting. I would have to have a fan in my room. And as soon as I would come home, I would go stand in front of it. I would get out of the shower and I would already be like starting to sweat. So I'd have to lay on the bed with the overhead fan and the side fan going. Now I'm cold all the time. So my husband had to get me a towel warmer for the bathroom so I don't freeze in the walk from the shower to the room to get dressed. And it's just so different. And I don't miss that. I don't miss taking a shower and then sweating so much that I immediately feel like I need another shower. I don't miss my grocery and medical bills being as high as they used to be. I definitely used to have a much higher grocery bill. I used to eat a lot of things. I would impulse buy things because I had so much food noise happening. I would have cravings for things that I could not go without. So I ate a lot more snacks. I ate much bigger meals. We'd go through, for example, I made a shepherd's pie this week. A shepherd's pie used to be 2 nights of food for my husband and I. Now it is a 3-night meal because we eat smaller portions. So we're saving a lot of money there over the course of the year. Same with our medical bills. I haven't, knock on wood, but I haven't been sick so far in the last 14 months. Whereas before, if there was a cold, a flu, any type of virus going around, if someone looked in my direction, I got it. And so I was having to go to urgent care and I was having to go to the doctor and I was having to do follow-ups and I was having to get lab work. And now I don't have to do those things because my health is just much more stable. So I don't miss those extra bills at all. I might be paying for a GLP-1 medication, but I think I'm making up for it in other ways. I don't miss the chub rub, which is my inner thighs rubbing together because they used to do that. I don't have a thigh gap. I never will. I've got big old thighs, but they don't rub together when I'm walking around anymore. And I love that. Now I understand why so many women enjoy wearing dresses and shorts in the summer. I always thought they were crazy because my legs would rub together and it would hurt so bad. And I don't have that problem anymore. So I get to enjoy wearing like shorts and skirts and feeling cute and comfortable in warmer climates. I also don't miss having to take so much luggage on trips. When you're in a larger body, your clothes are larger, which means they take up more space in a suitcase. So I would have to pack huge suitcases for like a week's worth of clothes. And on our last trip, I packed half of a suitcase because my clothes are smaller, so they take up a lot less room. So I don't miss needing the extra storage space, especially with a lot of airline companies starting to charge more for carry-ons or for checked bags, I mean. So that's gonna save us in the long run too. And last but not least, things I don't miss about being obese, I don't miss not being able to be picked up. So I don't think I can remember a time since I was like a little girl that anyone's ever picked me up. I've always been, I mean, there was a few times in my life where I was thinner, but they didn't last very long and I was usually single during those times. So like I never had a boyfriend that was picking me up. When I did like cheerleading and dance, I was never picked up. I was always obese. And so I never had that experience of having someone pick me up and like carry me across a room. And I was fine with that. But now my husband can pick me up and carry me across the house. And sometimes he does just for fun. The first time he did it, I was in a full panic because I'd never been like up that high moving around. I'd never experienced that before. But it's kind of fun. And it makes me feel a little bit more like feminine. And I know that sounds weird, but like, I think it's because when couples get married and there's like that tradition of being carried across the threshold, right? That was never an option for my husband. He couldn't even do it jokingly because I weighed too much. But now he could if he wanted to. And I think that is just something that's like, you know, societally like put into me, but I miss it. I don't miss it not being an option. He doesn't ever have to pick me up ever again. I'll be totally fine with it because it's weird and I'm always in a panic when it happens. But I like that he now has the ability to do that. Especially, what if there was ever an emergency? Before, if I had fallen or something happened to me, I would have had to wait for emergency services to get to me just because we would need someone to like hoist me up and carry me off. Whereas now, if something were to happen, my husband could just throw me over his shoulder and he could take me there. So that's nice to know. It's a little bit more comforting as well. So that's the end of my list of things I do miss about being obese and don't miss about being in a larger body. You know, I am so happy and proud of the body that I'm living in now, and I'm able to live my life with greater ease. It makes me a better employee, a better friend, a better wife, a better mom, and I'm so proud of the work that I've put in towards this new lifestyle that I've created for myself. It took time. It took small changes that I made slowly over time. And that's really the secret to the success of losing 108 pounds. there are going to be things that I miss about the way I used to live my life, but I still would not choose to go back that way because there were so many other things going on, so many side effects of me living with the disease of obesity for so long that were impacting my life in a negative way that I would still not choose to go back to the way things were before. I'm so proud of where I am now. So I hope that you found some interest in this list, that you laughed along with me along the way, and I hope that you will like and subscribe to this channel because it really helps me to create more fun and educational videos so that we can chat and continue to grow this community together. So thank you for joining me today. Comment below with things that you miss or don't miss about being in a larger body, or if you're in the middle of your journey, things that you think that you will miss or won't miss. And I hope that you'll check out my next video once it's posted. And until then, have a great one. Bye-bye.